Many thanks for your time here on News Today. Let's turn our attention to the central region for our very first story, where we are told that students and lecturers of the Cape Coast Polytechnic are demonstrating over the exclusion of the Cape Coast Polytechnic in the list of 6 polytechnics to be converted to technical universities this September. The angry students are said to have blocked roads leading to the Polytechnic. Academic work has also come to a standstill at the campus. Correspondent Kojo Nyako joins us on phone now with a lot more. So, Kojo, tell us a lot more about what these people have been up to today.
Well, at exactly 7:30, they converged. They are numbering about 200. They converged in front of the Polytechnic. They blocked the main entrance to the Polytechnic. Apparently, they had heard that the Polytechnic Council was meeting today, and so no vehicle could move to the Polytechnic, and no vehicle could also come to the Polytechnic. Their reason is simple, that when the technical committee that was set up to find the list about 6 Polytechnic that could be converted into technical universities, they were ranked 5th. But when the list finally came, they saw that their name had been excluded, and they are saying that it is on political grounds because the Deputy Education Minister, Kujeta Blocker, is on record, said that he couldn't be a Deputy Minister for Education and watch that Polytechnic that ranked 7th would not be among the list of the Polytechnic that would be turned into technical universities this September. And so the council chairman had it very tough because all council members had to abandon their vehicles and walk to the Polytechnic in order to start their meeting. And so that was really what happened. There was heavy security presence there. Eventually, they submitted a petition to the council chairman. They said that the council hasn't been up to the task. They have relaxed, and they have left the fight to the students and the lecturers to fight. So they should be up and doing so that they can push the agenda and so that they might not be taken for granted.
So essentially, what do they want now, apart from they calling on their council to actually step up efforts and make sure that the right thing is done? What do they want done? Are they, for instance, getting a petition to the Education Ministry or the committee, for instance, that sat through and ensured that this particular list came out?
They want the president to suspend the presentation of the polytechnics that have been selected to Parliament so that their name can be included. They say that they do not have any problems with whole polytechnic. But as far as they are concerned, per the technical committee report that came out, they ranked 1st instead of whole polytechnic, and so they do not understand. And so they want the president to act so that that action could be suspended. Okay. According to them, it is unfair for the Cape Coast Polytechnic, that was one of the first polytechnics to be established in the country, to be given this raw deal. And so that is what really they are up to now.
Okay. Richard Kojo, many thanks for your time on News Today this afternoon. And Richard Kojo has been joining us from the Cape Coast Polytechnic in the central region, bringing us a lot more on that action by lecturers and teachers of the Polytechnic. They've been demonstrating over the decision according to them, the decision by a committee excluding the school from that particular list of schools that are expected to be converted to technical universities in September this year. Let's still stay with education. And teachers in the country will no longer be embarking on an indefinite strike, as earlier hinted. Now, the decision was announced this morning after government reached an agreement with the teachers over the payment of their outstanding salaries. My colleague Matilda Pomega was present when this announcement was made and is joining me in studio now with a lot more details about what happened today. So, Matilda, many thanks for your time here on News Today. Now, what accounted for the teachers now calling off their strike?
Yes, it's for the calling of their strike. It's not because government has met all the conditions that they put before the table during the negotiation period. This is to allow government to go through the validation process. And you know that somewhere last week, they've been raising concerns about the teachers validation, back and forth with government, labor, and then fair
and because
wages.
of all those things, they said they were going to.
They were going on strike.
They weren't actually on strike.
Yes, so the strike was supposed to take off. That was yesterday, but today, having gone through the validation process, which more forms are expected to come in as we speak now. They are validating over 17,000 forms from across the country. So they are expecting 30,000 more forms to be brought in. So until this process is complete, that is when the teachers will be able to know their way forward. And the General Secretary for NAT, he was the one who addressed the press to call off the intended strike that was supposed to take off yesterday.
Okay, let's take a listen to him now then.
Sure.
Government has shown enough commitment to the process by bringing additional 22 staff from the Ghana Audit Service to add up to the existing 35 workforce currently on the job. The teacher unions have therefore committed ourselves to cooperate by supporting the extension of time in order to complete the entire exercise. We have taken this course of action because we want our members who have been victims of this policy to have their forms validated and their salary arrears paid. We therefore call on our members to remain calm and continue with our core mandate. We also reiterate all district directors of education to ensure that all such application forms in their custody are forwarded to Ghana Education Service headquarters for onward submission to the validators immediately. As a result of these developments, the teacher unions have suspended the intended industrial action until the completion of the validation exercise.
Well, that was a representative of the Ghana National Association of Teachers there addressing that media briefing a while ago. Like I was saying, my colleague Matilda Homega was there. She's now here with me in studio telling us a lot more about what really happened. So obviously, we're told these teacher unions were going to have this joint press conference with government. So I'm supposing that government also had a take on this.
Exactly. Government raised concerns. They are very happy that the teachers have softened their stance because looking at the workload that what they have to go through in verifying all these certificates that will be brought from across the region, over 60,000 more are expected. So you can imagine the work, and they have agreed that they are going to add 2 more weeks to the 10 days that they were supposed to do this validation. So the Director General of the Ghana Education Service have also been speaking, and he admitted that indeed was some lapses at the point at the Education Ministry that resulted in all this. But moving forward, he is hoping that within the 2 weeks that has been added to the 10 days, they will be able to validate all the documents that are brought before them.
Right.
I want to believe that due diligence, if it is done, much of the problems that we face will be off. And this is an opportunity for me to sound a word to all who are in management to do their work diligently. We are not here for shoddy work. And so I will task the district directors and the human resource management divisions at all the levels to try after this time, if they are facing even any challenges, they should let us know so that we support them to ensure that all the work that we do it with due diligence. I said earlier on, and people did not understand, when I said, unless the documents are duly processed with all the attachments, payment could not be made. Here we are. I'm happy that we are looking for all those documents to ensure that attachments are made before payments are made. I'm in the interest of the teacher, because without the teacher, we cannot move forward. And therefore, if there are problems concerning teachers, it is all a problem for all of us as management is concerned.
And that was Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Jacob Kaur, also addressing the media that I still have here with me, Matilda Homega. Matilda, so essentially, this decision to go on strike, has it been abandoned totally, or it's been suspended?
It's been suspended until the validation process has ended, because some teachers have been paid. A lot more are also on the waiting list to be paid. So until this process is complete, they can't say that they have completely called off the strike. It's only a suspension of the strike action until the entire process is done. But they are also saying that they won't be really surprised if names should be coming up, because government has already mentioned that some names have been identified of teachers who presented forged documents. So this is some of the lapses that they want to clear before they make the final payments to these teachers.
Right. Matilda, many thanks for that update. And that was my colleague Matilda from EGA bringing us a lot more from that joint media briefing by government and the various teacher unions, claiming that that intended strike action has actually been suspended. Now, Joy FM's major public forum on the interception of postal packets and telecommunication messages bill 2016 has ended in Accra, with discussants calling for further due diligence on the part of legislators before it is passed. Now, the objective of the bill, initiated by the Ministry of Interior, is to enact legislation for the lawful interception of postal packets and telecommunication messages. The Interior Ministry hopes to fight crime and suppress organized crime, including money laundering, terrorism, narcotics trafficking, identity theft, and generally for the protection of national security. However, there are concerns about the implications of the bill for the rights, freedoms, and liberties of Ghanaians, especially the right to privacy as guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution. Now, let's bring you excerpts of what transpired at the forum.
In fact, what the bill seeks to achieve is to cure the inherent deficiencies in those two existing legislation, because the scope of interception has not been laid out in detail so as to put the parameters within which lawful interception can be done within the context that would be directly in consonance with Article 18, so that you do not interfere with the right to privacy of individuals if it is not for the specific reason of detecting crime and preventing it as well. And so the bill, the interception of postal packets and telecommunication messages, a bill seeks to expand the scope. Like I said, I mean, in the Anti-Terrorism Act, it is very specific. It is specific to terrorism, acts of terrorism. The provisions in the narcotics law is very specific to the enforcement of our laws in relation to narcotics. What this bill seeks to do is to expand the scope to include other criminal acts like suppressing organized crime. And organized crimes here would include money laundering, terrorism, of course, narcotics trafficking, identity theft, and generally for the protection of national security. So this bill gives us an expanded scope of.
You're watching News Today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. We'll return shortly with some more. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today. To some more stories now, and some ex-soldiers who have sued the Ghana Armed Forces over alleged deductions in their gratuity are asking government to set up a committee of inquiry to investigate what they say is recurring fraud in the system. More than 650 soldiers who retired last year are in court demanding the payment of up to 25,000 cedis each, which they say was fraudulently deducted from their gratuity. Today, the Accra High Court adjourned the case to next 2 weeks. But my colleague Joseph Opokugabo was in court the whole time and is now joining me in studio with a lot more on what transpired in court today. So, Joseph, thanks for joining us. The very first thing I want to find out is what happened in court today.
Yes, in summary, the case was adjourned to the 15th of March. Okay. Essentially, you would recall that the last time they were in court, more than 400 of them had applied to join to the earlier 225 who had actually filed the suit. And that application was actually accepted last week when they were in court. And today, the judge granted it. So it's no longer a case between 225 retired soldiers and the Chief of Defense Staff and the Attorney General. It's now a case between 650 retired soldiers and the Chief of Defense Staff and also the Attorney General. One other issue came up in court today. There were concerns about those who have joined the case, what they call ID numbers. The explanation is that every military person, whether retired or existing, needs to have an ID number, but the court document and the documents with which they filed the case do not contain those numbers. So there were concerns that it's difficult to identify them per the military's own explanation. So the court gave the duration and indicated that within that period, the court expects that the documents will be amended and that those ID numbers will be provided. And so in summary, that was the proceeding in court today. It was a very brief proceeding. Eventually, the judge called the lawyers of the various parties to his private area in order to have a private conversation with them and all of that, just to discuss how to resolve all of these concerns about the inaccuracies in the document. Okay,
so now you're telling me that these people are now calling on government on the president actually, to set up a committee to
their concern is that this is something that has been happening over the years. They are not the only alleged victims as far as this fraud they are alleging is concerned. Their point is that with them, for example, some of them were supposed to earn something in the region of 85,000 cedis plus in their gratuity, but they ended up giving them just about 60,000. So some of them lost up to 25,000 cedis.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and their claim is that every year this happens, they see documents of approvals being given as far as the monies they are supposed to earn from the finance ministry are concerned. When the money is paid, then it's less, and so it's something that has been happening. So they think that it's about time that government sets up a committee which will involve the defense ministry, the finance ministry team, the auditor general's team, and all of that, and ensure that this committee investigates that alleged fraud that they claim has been happening over the years and bring the perpetrators to book. They think that it's not a case of the money being deducted by mistake or anything like that. Someone has decided to take portions of their money and take on their own, more like a corrupt activity, which they want government to bring the alleged perpetrators to book. And that's why they are calling for the setting up of this committee of inquiry.
Right. Joseph, many thanks for that update.
Thanks,
Joseph Opoku-Gakpo was a man in court and brought us a lot more from that court proceeding today. Let's turn our attention to some politics now. And several members of the New Patriotic Party from the Menchia North constituency in the Ashanti region have reportedly sustained injuries following a clash between them and bodyguards of the party's regional chairman Bernard Nchubo-Isiako. It remains unclear the reason for the action, but reports suggest the supporters marched to the regional headquarters after they had waited in vain for their constituency primary to be held, as announced by the regional executives earlier. Salifu Ibrahim is the NPP's constituency organizer for Menchia North. He has been telling Joy News more about the incident.
We are still having our parliamentary election not being done. So the party had a roadmap last week, and it was communicated to we, the constituency. And the roadmap was that we are going to have our parliamentary elections on 7th of March, which is coming Monday, 7th of March. And before we will have the parliamentary elections, there were issues with the constituency album. So about approximately around 170 polling station executives were affected. So let me say 170 delegates who are going to take part in the parliamentary primaries on 7th had issues that needed to be resolved. So the resolution that we all agreed on was that we are going to do a rerun on those affected 170 polling station executives who are delegates. So the roadmap was that yesterday, which was 29th of February, we were going to do the rerun on those 170 thereabout people. So they gave us up to 10 a.m. The regional organizer and his deputy with other constituency organizers were ready. They were set that we were going to move to the ground to do the election. Some issues came up from the other faction of the party within the constituency. So we have to postpone.
Let's stay with the opposition New Patriotic Party, and the party is today holding parliamentary primaries in the Buakwa North constituency following the murder of the MP of the area, Joseph Boachi Danko-Edu. Ahead of the primary, however, two aspirants are said to have withdrawn from the contest. They include the former Member of Parliament for the area, Professor Emeritus Samuel Amakon, and K. Amwa Jr., a legal practitioner. Let's get more from correspondent Edwin Kofisian, who is joining us from Ibokwa North with a lot more on the primary. But I'm told we've just lost Edwin Kofisian on the line there. We'll try our very best to bring him back on the line. When we do have him, we will bring that particular interview to you. You're watching News Today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. We'll return shortly with some more. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us here on News Today. To some more stories now. And effective today, March 1, 2016, health service providers under the National Health Insurance Scheme will enjoy an upward price review of between 24 and 27.5%. Now, the increment, according to the Insurance Authority, is due to concerns from health service providers on the increase in healthcare costs. Now, contrary to reports, the adjustment suggests an increase in the premiums payable by subscribers. The NHIE says the move comes at no extra cost to subscribers, but rather seeks to provide quality and efficient healthcare delivery to Ghanaians. Selo Madono is Deputy Communications Director for the National Health Insurance Authority.
We are deploying verification kits to all service provider sites. Service provider sites which submit huge claims or are big ticket facilities like Kolebu, Ridge Hospital, Police Hospital, etc. We are deploying authentication kits to a lot of these facilities so that when people come, they are verified. Verified means that indeed you are the right person coming with a card. So let's say if I look like my brother or you look like your sister, you can't bring your sister's card and say you are the person. And that authentication is also an efficiency gain measure. What it means is that you cannot cook the claim. You can't say the person came here for care when the person did not come. So with this, once you are verified, a transaction code, we call it a claims check code, is generated and you see it on the tablet. So that code must be written on the claims form and we see it at our back end at NHIA. So when the claims are submitted, we must ensure that the code on your claims form matches with what is in our system. And if that's a good claim, the person indeed was there. That number cannot be forged because it's a function of the venue, the place, and then time. So you can't forge it. So all these we believe will improve the efficiency in the scheme. The capitation is in Ashanti, is in Upper East, is in Upper West, is in Volta region. There's a plan, active plan to roll out across the country. Sensitization is started in other parts of the country. The plan is to get the whole country on. What capitation does is that it makes you choose a service provider which you'll be tied to, and that is where you go receive your health care.
Now, the Ghana Water Company Limited is denying claims that it has abandoned an excavation site on the Ring Road here in Accra where a pipe burst some months ago. The leakage has caused serious damage to at least one building and water is still gushing out of the hole. The water company explains to Joy News, identifying the source of the leakage has proved quite challenging.
Treated water has been going waste for months now, negatively affecting structures and residents in the area. One of the affected business owners is the managing director of the Paloma Hotel, Patrick Matuk. He says he has written countless letters to the GWCL to get them to repair the leakage of the 21-inch pipe, but nothing has been done about it. He says he has spent money on excavators and other equipment to help rectify the problem.
1st of December was when we first sent our first correspondence to Ghana Water Company seeking their assistance on the serious leakage affecting our property. Thereafter, on the 11th of January, I did a follow-up again, and another letter was sent. Then on the 15th of February, I had to send a letter this time to the managing director himself at the Ghana Water Company. There is dampness, as you know, water goes with dampness, but it has not affected the structure short term. But if this persists, definitely it may have some effect on the structure. But more importantly, it's a commercial structure meant for rent, long lease, or even sale. And unfortunately, due to what these people come to meet over there, I'm losing the opportunity to have that property bear its fruits. So this is my main concern as well. In connection with our support for Ghana Water Company and its efforts towards having this matter resolved, we offered some tools, equipment, and plant. Most expensive of those were the excavators that were brought into site to excavate. And all along, we've been very, cooperative in all aspects to try and, help them make the working environment comfortable for them to achieve their goals in this regard.
This building has not been spared of the damages. Some parts of the building are filled with water. The owner has therefore created a manhole from which he pumps excess water constantly to avoid further destruction to this building. This is treated water being pumped out from a manhole because there's a leakage in the main supply line. Let's see how quickly the water fills this gallon we have here. Within a matter of 30 seconds, this gallon has been filled. But in an interview with Joy News, communications manager of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Marty, says identifying where the leakage is coming from is a major challenge. He explained that the affected pipe might be under one of the buildings in the area and requires destruction of that property to stop the leakage.
It's been a bit of challenge for them, and he realized that the whole area has been excavated. Okay, so currently we haven't been able to identify the exact point where the leakage is, but we are still working around the clock to enable us rectify the situation. You all will bear with the situation that it is treated water going waste, and it's going against the Ghana Water Company Limited. So there's no way we'll sit aloof without making sure that that situation is rectified. So we'll be working, and we will continue to work until we identify the leakage and have it rectified, and then we clear the area once and for all.
Mr. Marty, however, promised that the GWCL will fix the situation as soon as possible without giving timelines. Efua Evans Chinui for Joy News.
Now, Turkey President Tayyip Erdogan is expected to address members of parliament today. The address is expected to focus on bilateral trade as well as migration. President Erdogan is also expected to meet the President John Dramani Mahama to discuss issues relating to the two countries in a bid to strengthen their bilateral relations. You're watching this today here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Time now for some business with John Kujamapo.
And now time for some business. And the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has initiated evaluation processes for oil and gas exploration in the Voltaigne Basin. The Strategic Environmental Assessment, SEA, for the Voltaigne Basin is aimed at gathering information on the likely impact of exploration on the communities within and around the onshore settlement along which the area transcends.
The Voltaigne Basin is an onshore basin located in parts of the northern, Brahafo, Eastern and Volta regions. The Strategic Environmental Assessment, SEA, of the basin is aimed at duly advising government with the relevant information to be gathered. Speaking with Joy Business after a stakeholders forum, Director of SEA at the EPA, Christine Asari, said the initiative is critical in ensuring that the resource is not exploited at the expense of the environment.
GMPC is carrying out seismic exploration of the Voltaigne Basin, looking at the potential for oil and gas in the Voltaigne Basin. As such, we have partnered with the Ministry of Petroleum to carry out, if any at all, what kind of impacts that we will have if we are to carry out onshore oil and gas exploration.
Speaking at the forum, Minister of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Mahama Ayariga, also charged the partners to execute the project in good time to the benefit of the economy.
The partners who are assembled here, I would urge you to work together and work expeditiously to be able to produce the kind of results that is expected, and expected in good time. As you know, many people have heard that there could be oil in their backyard, and they are anxiously waiting to be told how much is available and to what extent it can improve their livelihoods in those parts of the country.
The Strategic Environmental Assessment, SEA, is under the auspices of the National Development Planning Commission, the Ministry of Petroleum, among other relevant government agencies, in partnership with the Norwegian government under the Oil for Development program.
And the management of SIC Insurance can now heave a sigh of relief as the company's assets, including the head office, would no longer be auctioned to settle the debt owed Ivory Finance. This follows a ruling by the court last Thursday to stop Ivory Finance from selling the assets of the insurance company. George Uafe has more in this report.
Giving his ruling last Thursday, High Court Judge Justice George Boedi maintained that an earlier ruling by Justice Kumson, which gave Ivory Finance the right to go ahead and auction assets of SIC, was somehow ambiguous and not enforceable. Hence his decision to quash that ruling. Therefore, attempts by Ivory Finance to go ahead and sell prime properties and assets of SIC to defray debts rounding up to some 200 million Ghana cedis as unlawful. For some lawyers, with this ruling, SIC can now go ahead and contest an earlier agreement it entered into to pay the original debt amount of 19 million Ghana cedis and some other charges which have resulted the debt hitting about 200 million Ghana cedis. According to SIC, it has paid the said 19 million Ghana cedis debt it owed Ivory Finance, but it is contesting the way the interest on the debts were calculated. However, sources close to Ivory Finance say they will appeal the ruling even if they have to go to the Supreme Court. The current case between SIC Insurance and Ivory Finance has come about following the decision by the insurance giant to guarantee some loans the construction firm ITAL took from Ivory Finance, which it has not been able to pay.
And George, we have first report and then business. But for more, you can join me exactly 1 for more business, actually. My name is John Kojo Amwako.
So that's how we wrap up on news today this afternoon here on Joy News. My name is Kwabena Chenchen Heneboate. Remember to visit myjoyonline.com for more news. John Kojo Amwako is standing by with the marketplace. Many thanks for your company.